Welcome to Setting an Agenda for Tutoring Sessions. During the first several minutes, you and the student will be setting at least a tentative agenda for the tutoring session. And the best way to do that is to talk or chat. Conversation not only establishes rapport, but engages the student in the session immediately. In addition, you can learn fairly quickly about the student, the assignment, and their approaches to and concerns about the task at hand, and about learning in general, all necessary information to determine how to spend your time together most effectively and efficiently. As a new tutor, you may feel uncomfortable with an extended conversation. You may think that looking at the assignment description and focusing on the student's problem or essay gives you something concrete to do. And you may worry that a conversation could go in unpredictable directions. Recognize, however, that this initial conversation allows you both to establish a comfortable acquaintance and to gather information and assess the student's needs. Don't feel like you need to jump right into answering their question or problem without spending a little time to get to know the student. As an intelligent, interested, and friendly audience, you will find it relatively easy to talk and learn more about the assignment and the student. Then you can put your newly acquired tutoring skills to work more easily and productively. So you might be wondering, what kinds of questions should you ask? Well, here are a couple simple ones. What can I help you with? What are you working on? What are you writing about? Who is your audience? What approach did you take to solve the problem? Can you tell me about how you set up your problem? Can you tell me a little more about your writing process for this paper? How you started, how much time you gave yourself to research, etc.? When is the assignment due? If the assignment is unfamiliar, read through the description to be sure that the student has not forgotten or misunderstood any details. Better yet, have the student read it out loud themselves. As you or the student read the description, engage the student with comments or questions like, "I see you have to," or "What did you choose for?" Asking students to articulate the assignment and their approach to it often helps you uncover any misunderstandings or apprehensions that the student may have. A student may often respond to your question, "What can I help you with?" quite specifically, which simplifies setting an agenda for the session. The student may explain, for example, "My introduction just doesn't seem to do what I want it to." Or, "I understand all these steps in the problem, except for this one." However, be aware that some students might respond to the question with one-word responses, like, "I need help with everything," or "Can you help me with factoring, conjugations, proofreading?" You'll need to ask more questions to specify the kind of help the student needs. By doing this, students will better understand the many steps in problem solving, writing, or analyzing for any other subject. How you and the student ultimately spend your time depends on several factors. 1. How far along is the student with the assignment? Are they in the beginning, middle, or final stages? Are there any limitations to the assignment? Maybe there's a certain length, like number of pages that a student has to write. Maybe there are certain specific steps that a student must take. An instructor may require a student to use specific strategies, where a student may need to include a certain number of outside sources, like in an essay. You also want to know, when is the assignment due? How willing is the student to work with you to improve their work? Maybe they're revising an essay or a speech, or improving punctuation, which takes time. And finally, how long is your appointment? Usually our tutoring appointments are between 15 to 30 minutes. If you and the student do not jointly agree on the focus of the session at the outset, then together you can determine what might be realistically accomplished in the time that you have. Managing expectations that are realistic for the time allotted will lead to a more productive tutoring session. As you talk with the student and look through the assignment, make a list of concerns and items, either on paper, on the screen, or in conversation, that could be covered in the tutoring session. Ultimately, this list should be understandable to both you and the writer. Then, prioritize the list, taking into consideration the due date. Remember that it is better to cover issues that have the greatest impact on a student's grade or performance, rather than lower order concerns. Perhaps you can factor in scheduling future visits if the list is long, or maybe consider offering the student other resources online that can help supplement their learning, especially if there isn't enough time to cover everything in a tutoring session. You're going to practice setting an agenda using 3 different scenarios. You can choose which scenario you'd like to respond to. After reading the description included in the scenario, consider and share the kinds of questions you could ask the student to better understand their needs. Then share some ideas on how you and the student would set the agenda together. Nick is the kind of person who always has 1,000 ideas bouncing around in their head at once. If someone asks them about subject A, they find some obscure relation to subject B and discusses that. Nick wants help with this paper for their psychology class, but just can't seem to focus on Jung's theories. Nick is likely to end up talking about anything but Jung in the tutoring session. Cisco has always had difficulty with focusing and remembering details. He took a break from school, and now it seems all his college instructors are using fancy applications to teach. Not only is he struggling to remember how to solve these homework problems, he can't seem to find the notes his instructor put on Canvas on how to do them. On top of that, he doesn't understand how to use the software, where he has to solve the problems and submit his answers. He has 10 different problems to solve and needs your help. Monica is taking Spanish and has to complete a few DLAs for her class. She's taking over 18 units, is entering a new career, and takes care of 2 grandchildren at home. The Spanish class seems easy to her, and even though she finds the DLAs interesting, she doesn't have time for the review sessions. She would prefer that the tutor just verify the activity quickly without the extra explanations and interaction.